Okay, so here we are today, and I am super excited because this is probably one of the most dear to my heart topics, which is how to replace yourself in your business, or more specifically, how to recruit a COO for the business. Now, this never occurred to me as being a super important thing until I read a book called Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman, and I was talking to Kerry, who's on the call with us today, and she said, "This is my gig. This is my jam. This is what I do. I take the operations part of the business, and I love working with the mechanics of business." And in the book Rocket Fuel, we talk about this a bit, where this distinction between the visionary and the integrator. And so it becomes more and more profound as a business grows. So first thing I'd like to do is welcome Kerry Nelson to the call. She's going to be driving most of the conversation and most of the traffic today in terms of how we learn about this principle and how we actually mechanically go and find this person. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I really do love this stuff. Although, like most people doing the work that I do, I never really planned to do this. It was never something that, when I was 10 years old, I was imagining being a psychologist. I wasn't or running an orphanage. I wasn't imagining doing anything like this. And yet, life unfolded, and I realized I love organizing and love making things run really smoothly, and really love empowering people. So in my own business journey, I saw myself tending to veer towards these sorts of spaces where I don't necessarily want to be up front. It's fun, but what I really love is making things happen, like really making things happen, pulling the nuts and bolts together. So so as we've gone, I've learned how to do this, and if I do say so myself, I think I do a pretty good job. So we'll run through. The clients that I've worked with, their businesses are really rolling. They're really smooth, and it makes the world of difference to have someone taking care of the operation. So we're going to get into that today, and I have prepared some slides. And today's going to be a bit of a hybrid sort of session. We will be doing some learning and reflecting. And then we'll also be rolling up our sleeves and workshopping a position description for a COO. So we'll make that super practical, and you guys can take that away. And there's some other goodies that I'll share with you in a second as well. So I'll share my screen. Now, David, how long have we got here?
We really have probably about 53 minutes.
Got it. Okay. Yep. Excellent. All right.
If you need to go over, you can, but I suppose let's get the main message across.
No, that's all good. Totally fine. So one of the things that I really love is watching a visionary business owner be free of all the crap that they hate doing. The admin-y stuff, the boring stuff. And at the end of the day, most business owners started their business because they love growing something bigger than themselves. They've got a big vision. They love making sales. They love expanding their network. They love growing something that really runs beautifully. But at the end of the day, they don't necessarily like the back-end stuff. And so for me, it's all about making sure that that business owner gets to do only the work they love, and all the other stuff they don't have to deal with. And when I'm working with my clients, when I'm supporting other COOs, that's exactly what my mission is. So what we're going to do quickly is have a look at where you are now. We're going to look at some really 3 simple keys of how to find your perfect COO. We're going to have a look at a hiring roadmap, position description workshop, where we're going to roll up our sleeves and do some work, and then we'll finish off with some benefits for you. Simon Sinek is one of my favorite authors. I learned so much, and he's so famous for his concept of why. What's your inner motivation? What's driving you to build a business? But a lot of people don't read. They skim over the bits about his absolute dedication to the structure. And it's not just the why. It's how. How are you going to achieve that big vision? And that's where that COO piece comes in. So we're going to start with a little question for you, a few questions actually. Put your hand up if this is you. You started your business because you have a crystal clear vision of success. In your mind, do you know what success looks like, and that's why you're doing your work today? Yes? Is that you? Yes. Awesome. You're like a pig in mud, meeting new business contacts and creating big new opportunities. Do you love doing that?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Your motivation is pretty low when you're dealing with the details, the admin, the systems. It's just something you've got to do, not something you get to do.
Oh yeah.
People find you inspiring and you enjoy leading with a big vision. Yeah. You thrive when playing with big concepts and ideas. You love that big picture.
Sure.
Yeah. You'd rather be the face of the business than the hands.
Mm.
And that sort of presses the button of the inner control freak, doesn't it? Oh, I don't know if I can really let go, but and you have your finger on the pulse of your target market. You really understand what your market needs and love to tap into that. Is that you as well?
Yes, I would say yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, chances are, if you've answered yes to most of all of those questions, you really are that visionary entrepreneurial type of leader. A lot of people already know this. My journey in business, the first big chunk of my journey in business started with my late husband, Alec. And I remember one time we were in a meeting with our accountant and we were going through the numbers as you do with an accountant. And Alec was going through, oh, we're going to make these sales. I've got this new deal coming up. Next year is going to be absolutely incredible. And I'm sitting there like freaking out. I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, really, what's going to be different? What are we doing differently that we haven't already done before? And so I was questioning Alec's optimism and his vision. I used to call him a pathological optimist. He was just absolutely dedicated to his vision, and there was no idea that he wouldn't succeed and achieve that. And our accountant, anyway, described Alec as the accelerator in our little partnership and me as the brake. And the accelerator is great for driving things forward, but sometimes you just need to put the brakes on and make sure that that vision actually has a how, behind that why. When you're a visionary, there are some challenges that you really do need to deal with. It can be frustrating as the owner of the business to have all the power to delegate, but still you're stuck working outside your strengths. Maybe that taps into that inner control freak we talked about before, where I don't really love this work, but no one else could do it as good as me, so I'm just going to keep doing it. So that's that powers without a superpower. You're not operating in your superpower because you keep on operating in that power, that authority, without letting go. Another challenge that visionary owners often have is that you've got stacks of people, but not necessarily with partners. Visionaries are often the leaders with 1,000 helpers, but very few peers. It can be isolating and insulating, and it certainly blocks really great ideas from flowing and transforming your business. It can also be quite challenging to have a clear direction, but without progress, where you know where you're headed, but the more you grow, the more you get bogged down in the complexity and the detail, which slows fast progress. It's like quicksand. You've got this big idea, and yet you just can't move towards it in a really substantial, sustainable way. Now, when I think about business, because it's not that I'm not a visionary. I am a positive, very optimistic person. I've got big goals for my business too, but I certainly have more of those strengths in that operational side of things. And so there's a stark comparison here. When you are a visionary, you see the big picture. You see the mansion, you see the boat, you see the big picture of success. And that might not only be financial, of course, it may not be physical wealth. It's just handy to find a stock photo that's got things like that. But it's those big things that you see, the grand thing, the big wide open skies of success. And yet, sometimes I struggle actually, because I do work with David. He's my coach, and what's your 5-year vision look like? And I'm thinking, well, how am I going to get there? I can't set a 5-year plan if I don't know exactly how I'm going to get there. Because an integrator, like we've just talked about with in Rocket Fuel, an integrator sees the business like this. And it is, what are the mechanics? How are we building? What's the framework? What are the measurements? And a visionary and an integrator see the business very, very differently. If you're trying to create the big vision, but you don't like the detail, then you need to get rid of it. You need to get rid of it. It will bog you down, it will hold you up, and it will slow your progress to growth. In fact, I believe with all my heart that there are some business owners that have got that gigantic vision that they will literally never achieve it. And it will become the frustration and the curse of their life because they don't realize that they have to let go and find that COO, find that operational partner to really bring that vision to life. The question here is how, right? How do we find this amazing person? How do we find someone who's going to untangle the complex details? They're going to keep the team on track and productive. A really good COO is going to weigh up all the factors in decision making. They actually can't help, like me, I cannot help but organize. I cannot help myself. I find it really relaxing to clean out my pantry. It's soothing. I like being organized. A really good integrator that is going to support you as a visionary is going to communicate with direct pragmatism. They're going to create realistic pathways to achieve goals, and they're going to be a reliable pair of hands that you truly can trust so you can keep on being the face of the business. Now, before we keep moving on, has anyone got any thoughts or questions about this? Can you see yourself in any of this that we're saying here today?
I have a thought.
Yes, go.
What you're tapping into here is really quite significant, because I think we all want, like when I say we all, I'm a business owner as well. And I sit there and I have these 5-year visions, and I sit there going, I have to create this, and I have to create it so that it's compelling, but I also need to create it in a way that it's achievable. And so I'm torn. And I know Peter's nodding because he's got the same problem, and he's sitting there. I have to make the sales calls. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to.
Yeah.
I get the idea of having big goals. I get the idea of you've still got to do the operational part. And I think what you touched on is when we're smaller, we do both jobs. Okay, this is what happens as a business, or as a person who runs a sort of a section of a business. We've got to do both because we can't justify paying the second person. But what we soon realize is that they're very different skill sets, mindsets, as you described. And letting go is really hard because you got this little voice saying no one does it as well as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Can't find good people. If you want a job done properly, you have to do it yourself. All these little sort of self-limiting beliefs. So I think this transition to acknowledging that I have a strength in one or two of these two areas, then allowing the other one to be handed off is probably one of the hardest transitions.
I could not agree with you more, especially because finding the right fit for you is actually really challenging. Something coming up later is that sort of ratio, and I never really got it until, please read Rocket Fuel, like David's recommendation to me to read this book. It's just so transformational. I loved it. But yeah, there's a 4-to-1 ratio. So for every entrepreneurial visionary spirit that starts a business, there really is, for every 4 entrepreneurs, there's only one person who really works in that operations management role really well. And then you've got to find the fit that just works with you. So absolutely, it's challenging. It's not easy, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it, because otherwise you get bogged down, and you literally will find a point. And certainly in my business with my late husband, we literally sat on $1 million of revenue for 3 years straight. Never making profit, things not changing because he couldn't take his hands off the steering wheel, and he wouldn't allow me. Really, he was a wonderful person. Don't get me wrong. This is not sort of sour grapes, but yeah, he had this idea of, I can't let go. I've got to do this. I'm great at all these things, and sadly, within the first 6 months of you passing away, even though it was devastating, I know what this business needs. I know what it needs. And it was just a gigantic overhaul. So yeah, if you don't do the work and let go, you can really get stuck. And I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
I
think this is what Stephen did himself. So when he started the company 6 years ago, we started with 2 people. Now we are up to 8. So slowly we build a core team, if you want. So we are still hiring people that and we know that we can do this job. And we start delegating now. So before we were doing a little bit of everything. Now we are starting delegating. So we are up to 8 now.
Yeah.
And generating like 4.5 million views.
Yeah, brilliant. At that point with a team of 8, it's I'm sure you've already got this, Peter, but I imagine you've got leaders of teams. Would that be right?
Yes, as I say, now we start delegating. Before we were doing it's a one-man show, we were trying to do everything ourselves, but now we are just trying to delegate, and that's working at the moment. But you need to find this core team first,
yeah,
and then you can start expanding from there.
Agree.
You know what I mean, yeah. If you don't have this core team, it's very hard to rely on people that you don't know. So you need this core team, test them, and work with them a little bit, and release a little bit, and see how they are going with it. If you're happy, just give them more. You know what I mean?
Yes. Although when we're taking this step to to hiring a COO, really releasing that management side, there's got to be a level of trust that you actually do let go and see how it goes. There's one thing that I realized a long time ago, probably a decade ago, has been very encouraging. There is no one thing that can ever break a business. It doesn't matter how big the disaster looks. At the end of the day, it's one thing, and it can always be fixed. It can always be resolved. There's no one thing ever. So letting go might feel a bit like free falling, but if the COO doesn't have space to actually do their thing, then you're going to be stifling their ability to impact the business and actually make the difference. Yeah. We'll keep moving on. Awesome. So there are 3 keys that you need to quickly square away to find your perfect COO. And the first one is knowing your superpower, like really knowing what are you really good at. If you could only do 3 things in your business, what would you choose? Like, what are you really, really good at? What things come naturally to you and what things do you absolutely love? So I'd really love, just for a second, if you could share here in the group, what are your superpowers? 3 things that you absolutely love doing, you're really good, you never want to let go of it, no matter how successful your business gets.
Oh, that's a tough
one.
Pete?
Or in my side is just making things happen. That's it.
Like creating new programs.
Everything.
I love it. That's excellent. Such a visionary thing to say. Really good. Yeah.
We can't be stuck on something. We have to find something to make it happen. All the way. All time.
Always creating. Always creating something new. That's brilliant. What about you, Kat?
For me, it's the creating a community, having group training. I really love facilitating the training. And communication, teaching people how to communicate and finding those breaks and that noise in the channel and getting success for people through that.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Can you imagine yourself teaching other people how to do that as well? So you had a little team of facilitators?
Definitely. Yeah. So more at a top-down approach. We've got a sort of model and structure that they become certified in the yin yang way.
Perfect. Yes, that's great. That's great. That's the exact type of thing that a visionary would be doing. And the bigger your team gets, or the more things that you create, the more pieces there are to make run smoothly. You know, that engine room is just getting bigger and bigger. So if you get too tied to the back end of that, both of you will end up coming to that quicksand point that we were saying before.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something, David?
I was going to say mine.
I'm so sorry, David. That's so rude of me. Please do share.
So my superpower is interrupting Kerry. No, look, for me, when you said that, what resonated was, I've always sort of been passionate about what we do, the purpose of our business. And so making sure that we carry the lamp that keeps everyone focused. The other thing is to help people get back on track. So part of the leadership is the sort of re-inspiring people and helping them understand how they contribute. And probably the third piece would be the presentation side, which is something that I get I get a lot of mutual benefit from when I present. Yeah.
You're a born leader of people, David.
I don't know about that, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. So, truth be told, between us three and whoever else is going to watch this, I actually find presenting really nerve-wracking. I always do. If there was any way I could avoid it, I would. I think I'm okay at it, but no, I would much rather make the presentation and give it to someone else to do than do it myself. Yeah. But here I am. I know the benefit. Like, it's really, really good thing to do. So, here we are. Okay, I'll continue to move on. First of all, your visionary is always going to have the superpower of having that big vision and being able to really spotlight what is in the long distance. I'm going to run through a few of these because in the next part, I'm going to compare these with the integrator. So I want you to see the comparison. So a big vision, super quick. The direction, here's where we're headed. Being the accelerator to absolutely drive things forward very, very quickly. Being the cheer squad to really build up a team, encourage people, keep people moving towards that big picture and that big vision. And then, of course, driving sales. A visionary normally has got that magnetic ability to draw people to them, to attract really great deals, to be able to make good sales, and then also drive business relationships that become very lucrative over time as well. So that's basically the superpowers of a visionary, and you can see yourself in a lot of those there. The next, so there you go. Ideas person, driver of growth, and the champion of culture. Actually, that's something I do want to emphasize just a little bit more. At the end of the day, the visionary has got a very clear picture in their mind about the why of this business, about what that business stands for, the impact that they're going to make in the world. And that will always be, the purview of the visionary. But then, of course, the second thing that you need is to drive a really successful business is a partner that complements all of those things. So if you are thinking about your business, if you had a magic fairy, or you could wave a magic wand right now, what sort of person would you want to come in and help you this week?
Oh,
It's not rhetorical.
not rhetorical. So I'm sort of more lucky, I suppose, luckier than some. I've got Kelly who works here, and she's my integrator. And it was an accident because when she started working here, I didn't realize I needed an integrator, and then I realized that she's the perfect person. So she loves running projects.
Yeah.
And sometimes so much so that I actually don't know what's going on.
That's so good. That's wonderful for you though, David.
Yeah.
I find you a really great partner for me because you've got that visionary strength, so I can do my thing. Yeah, so I tap into that.
Yeah.
That's good.
What about you, Pete? What do you need? If you had the magic wand and we could employ a person to be your sidekick?
Decision making, I reckon. Someone taking decisions. Sometimes when you have a team and you have to rely on them, sometimes block you some kind of role. Because it takes too much time. So as I say, I want to make things happen. So sometimes you're blocked by decision making. So you got a couple of guys that have to think about it and come back to it, see here. They are not like straightforward, you know what I mean? So so we need someone like, yes, just do it.
Someone's going to push things along, right?
Yeah. Actually make it happen.
Yeah.
What about you, Kath? The perfect partner in your business, who would they be?
Someone to project manage the event side of things. So having the dates, having the concept, and then creating the copy, having all of the marketing that goes along with it, the invitations, the system set up, and just allow me to have the. Sorry.
I was just going to say that the first integrator, it sounds like you need is an events manager.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, really good. It's so good for you to know that, both of you clarifying that, because then right, my next step to free me up to do the things I love and I'm really good at is that. So a really great COO is going to be the roadmap for the owner's vision. It's just that simple, putting it all together in a practical way. A really great COO is going to have a process for the owner's big picture direction. A really great COO is going to be the brake when the owner's trying to accelerate too fast. A really great COO is going to mobilize people instead of just cheering them on, actually mobilizing the team and getting them working towards that goal. And finally, a really great COO is going to pull the data together to drive the profit that the business owner, that the visionary is so good at generating, to maximize that and multiply that, make it snowball. There you go, on a COO. You can quickly see that. Now, the third is direction. If you're going to have a COO, you as the visionary, as the owner, need to retain the big picture direction, and then both of you working together towards that. So another question for you guys. Where are you headed in? So, well, you know, I'm an integrator, so in this 12 months, I can handle that. No. Where are you headed? Big picture. What is your vision for your business?
Go on, Pete. You're first.
Right.
So as I say, we have a 5-year vision, and it's clear that we want to reach the 8-digit number. Having said that, so we have to escalate it every year. So that's the big vision, actually. And actually, we are working from the international side of things, international marketing and all kind of stuff. So that's the person we want to be. We want to be local and international. Yeah. So it's start happening. So it's happening now. So in a couple of years, we'll see that more clearly. Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah.
What about you, Kath?
Plan is to have 15 coaches within 5 years. So that's putting on 3 coaches a year, and having them have their own sort of area and zone. So they've got locals supporting locals, and it's helping coaches get their marketing out there and support businesses in the area with communication.
That's incredible. I love that. What about you, David?
Mine's harder. Look, I think for me, the vision, and I struggle with this challenge of your 5-year vision is being numeric or versus being non-numeric. If you read Cameron Herold's book on vivid vision, he actually says, take all the numbers out and take the picture of what you're trying to achieve. If you use the OKR philosophy, objectives, key results, objectives are non-numeric. So just framing, because for me, where we're headed as an organization is, I have a belief that anyone who decides they're going to run a business has an obligation to grow.
Yes.
I don't count self-employment as a business. I think self-employment is a trick played by the government to make you a tax collector for free. If you're going to bother running a business, you might as well become profit focused and not hourly rate focused. So it's it's about awareness, right? And I just say, look, everyone has the free entitlement to be employed, self-employed, or run a business, but don't be hoodwinked about it. If you've decided business is for you, understand that it's about profitability. It's not about hours. And so for me, that's just about spreading that word. As terms of big picture, right? Smaller picture, we've got a sort of interim goal of getting 200 people into our membership. So we're helping them do that transition. Nice. And speaking to you today helps me clarify it too.
That's great. That is excellent. Yeah, that's really good. I really love that. Yeah, because if you get too tied to the numbers, it becomes too mechanical and your vision can't actually fly then.
Yeah, and that was my struggle, right? Because it's easy to sit there and say 10 this, like 200 clients, that's what we're aiming for. But then what ends up happening is you lose the purpose.
Yes.
And a lot of this happens with salespeople who say, I'm going to smash my numbers this month. And I go, great. You do not realize numbers is a result. Okay. Yeah, so that's telling us the scorecard, but what is the reason they're going to smash? How are they going to do it? Like, what is the thing that they're selling? How is it? What's the value they're adding to the marketplace? So this grappling, this is the visionary's sort of function, right? Is to say, I need to come up with an idea and then I need to make it exciting so everyone wants to come.
Yeah.
And so it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes pondering to do. So never easy, because if it was easy, everyone would do it, right?
Exactly. No, that's really great. Thank you for that, David. That's awesome.
So when I was talking about the vision, we say national and international. At the same time, we look at everything at the back. So we look a little bit at the numbers to just to have a target point. And I monitor all my customers too. So I have my target for this year. How many customers? Like last time we reached the target, and this year I have my philosophy for the moment is one customer a day. Yep. New customer a day. One new customer per day. That's enough for the moment. And the next target will be maybe 2 after.
Yeah, it's good. Those short-term goals are what make the long-term goal happen.
Sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is the danger, right? So I think what you're talking about, Kerry, is the whole notion of you can have vision, but if you don't have pragmatic goals as well, so if you don't have a to-do list that actually gets you there, it's just that story, right? You might mobilize people, but if you're not measuring the result, they might be just going, oh, that sounds great, yay.
Yeah, that's it. You have to measure everything,
And business doesn't survive without cash flow. So I love the way Peter's sort of come down to a sale a day. When I hear his vision, I know where it's going, because he says global, but in my mind, I'm saying being the best provider of wear parts in the world. Okay. And I know that's sort of what they're doing as an organization, but being stuck at the sort of coalface, I still have to make a sale a day, right? So it's nice to have vision, but someone has to call people and get them in.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a wish. If you don't have a plan, it's just a wish. Awesome. When you find a really great partner, you'll be going together, you and your whole team growing and going together in a really practical way. And when you find a really great partner, you'll be able to go really, really far because they'll have those practical steps to get you there. And of course, finding a great partner is truly like planting a money tree and watching it grow. It is just that simple. You can do so much more when you put your head together with someone who's complementary to you to make those things come to pass. One final thing before we jump into the next section is it's really important that when you've got a COO that you both take those roles, that you work in that partnership, that as a visionary leader, as an entrepreneurial force in the business, that you're inspiring your company, but not necessarily getting down in the nitty-gritty of instructing every last thing, because it turns into micromanagement and it makes a mess. And I've seen that firsthand. And as a visionary, setting those big targets the perfect way to lead your company, but not necessarily setting the daily agenda or the weekly agenda of what's going to get done, releasing that to someone else who's naturally good at that and intuitively can pull that together. And again, leading the core values and the company culture, but then those actions start to release some of those and let those go so that the culture comes to life in the actions. But that's where the COO you can really lean into and allow them to bring that to life in really practical ways. Does that grate on anyone? Is that frustrating for people to hear that, or that's okay? It's all right? No?
I think it's one of those things that it sounds common sense, but it's not as easy to do.
I agree.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because I know, working with my clients is very much, sometimes they get to the point, can you just get out of my way? I've got this. I've got the people. You don't have to message them. They're already doing the work. They're already there. It's getting done. Like, just get out of the way. And so that it might be a little bit hard to hear. And like you say, hard to actually execute, because letting go is not easy. Okay, we'll keep moving.
Yeah.
We're going to go through this really quickly. Now, how do we make this done? Of course, the first part is to recruit. We're about to move into that in just a second. I've got a stack of templates that I'm going to provide for you guys because I'm just so glad that you showed up, and I'd love to help you on your journey. So, of course, you've got to go ahead and recruit. Then you need to onboard. Now, when you're onboarding, this is not like onboarding a checkout chick or even an administrator. It's not a skills-based thing. Onboarding is so much more. Here's where we are. Here's what we've built so far. Here's how things are running now. Now, what do you think? So even the process of onboarding is about letting go. Because if you're starting to train them how to be an operations manager, when you're hiring them to be the operations manager, they're going to be suffocated right there. So onboarding is very different. It's a welcome. It's a very comprehensive tour and guide, you know, of what you've got in your business. And then it's letting go and asking them what they want to do. And then, of course, once you've got your person in, there are going to be burning fires that need to be put out. And so those things are always the most important place to start. But the thing is, I often say that what I do, I'll create the fix, then I implement the solution. So we're doing the quick fix. Let's sort out that thing with this client. Let's sort out that thing with that product, that sale, that delivery method. Then how did that problem happen in the first place? Let's resolve the actual problem and implement a long-term solution so that problem will never happen again. So troubleshooting is those burning fires, which are the most obvious opportunities for a system reboot and reinvention. And then once we've got fires that are smoldering, not burning, then we can get back into the back end and we can say, right, let's have a look at this. And without a doubt, I know this is incredibly boring for you all to hear, but your filing is always something that will need to be overhauled. And the reason it's so important is that all of those resources are like the bank of tools, bank of materials that people need to work every day. And if they can't find things, if they're duplicating things, it slows everything down. So starting with your filing provides a foundation for everything else, and then you're building systems on top of that. So once you've got things running and fires out, then you start to really get back in and systemize properly. And that is when you have to let go. And you know what? In actual fact, the entire process is about really letting go.
What I put there.
What is it?
When you were talking, that's what let me try to put in there.
Oh, that's so perfect. I love it. That's great. Okay, so we're gonna do some practical work here now. I'm gonna pull this down. I'm going to pull this down by escaping and by, one sec, I've got to find my tab.
She's got everything filed and a place for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit self-conscious because people are watching me look for something.
I think what you touched on there is really quite critical. It's the CIO's job is to troubleshoot, find problems, solve problems, systemize, and manage.
Yeah.
The entrepreneur or the visionary's job is to come up with the ideas and keep the flame alight. Because I think when we talk about these big vision goals, like what Peter and Kath were talking about, they're big numbers.
Yes.
And those big numbers, they get lost in the minutiae. Because we go, yeah, I'd love to have 15 coaches doing, you know, this many coaching sessions per month, and that's my vision. But I can't log into the system. And or people aren't returning my call, or, you know, I need my website updated. And we get down to a micro level of repair on a macro vision, and it's quite challenging. So having that person that you can say, website's not working, sort it out so I can keep driving forward, because there's a lot of activity that needs to be done to build this team. I'm going to throw another book name in there, Kerry, Who Not How by Dan Sullivan.
Oh, yeah, it's on my list.
Yeah. Another brilliant book that really, because here's what I've learned. In 23 years of helping people grow businesses, the secret weapon is finding and keeping good people. Right. And everyone thinks, you know, it's about the product, it's about the strategy, it's about the market. All of that is done by testing and measuring, right? You can't sell a product that no one wants. You have a product that people want and you're putting it in front of them and they're not buying it, there's something wrong. Okay. But in reality, once you've sort of got that working, that's what business is all about. Find a problem, solve the problem, and get people to give you money because you solved their problem. Now I need scale. And if I have the wrong people on the bus, I'm struggling to, you know, I'm tripping over my own feet. Had to go, Kerry?
Yep. I've got it. Okay, one sec. I will share again. I'll get this off here. Now, I do have, oh, no, actually, I'll tell you that after. Nothing. Pretend that didn't happen. Here we go. All right. So here we go. We've got your position description template. And this is the work description for your new operations manager. You can read that there. And then we're going to flesh that out with some dot points here today. We could easily go for 5 or 10 minutes on this. So I actually would love you to leave with a product that you'd be genuinely happy to use. Of course, I'm going to help and guide. And then, of course, I will also be able to show you my original one. So these are sort of the highlights. You need to make sure that your operations manager is able to guide communications in your company. So culture in your company, processes, of course, and profit, but in the mechanical, practical aspects of these things. So what sort of things would you like an operations manager to do in your business that this would be their position description?
Own operations.
Pardon?
Own the operations department. So literally making sure that the product's delivered and the quality is there and that the clients are happy.
Yeah. Excellent. That's like it, isn't it? What else do you need them to do?
Let's hear from some of the others. Do you need someone to do, Pete?
Basically, everything from start to finish, I reckon.
Let's break it down. Let's break it down. What do they have to do at the start?
They have to make sure that they know the product first. That's the first aim, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Why is that important?
Just to achieve the target, the goal after, you know what I mean? So if you don't know that at the base, no point going forward, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people think that they can do magic, but no. It depends what sector you are, I reckon. But this is the main thing, I reckon.
Yeah. Yes, okay. I have recently taken on a client who works in outsourcing specifically to the property market, so people who are working in the property market. I've bought a house once and sold it a decade ago. I don't know much about the property market, but I know how to run the team. So I guess I'm not questioning you. I guess I'm asking for you and your business, Peter, why is that knowledge of the products and services that you offer so important for your operations manager? Why would that make a difference?
I guess it's a bit complex. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe, yeah, I'm not sure.
We'll come back to you if you want. I think
Okay.
I know what you're saying though. So that the complexities of delivery can be managed effectively.
I think there's another piece to this is that Pete wants someone who can take care of any technical questions that arise.
Uh-huh.
So they're not coming to him.
Uh-huh.
So he's saying if my operations manager can take care of day-to-day questions like, does this product A fit my solution B? Then
Yeah,
he
I think
can get interrupted. Is that a reasonable assessment, Pete?
yeah, that's a bit more likely to be that. Yeah.
Because I think like the other thing I like about this COO function is we're looking at your calendar and we're saying, what's the best use of your time? And you're going to say, at the moment, it's making sales calls and signing up one client a day. But big picture, I need my team to start doing sales calls on my behalf. And then when they do, I don't really want to get dragged in every time there's a question. That's operational to me now. If someone rings, if someone's making a sales call and the question is, does product A fit product B? I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to interfere into that. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. Yeah.
I totally understand what you're saying now. And yeah, completely. If the operations manager doesn't know what, how to direct the traffic of those questions and troubleshooting, then they're not going to be effective for you.
Yeah.
Does this work? What I've typed up?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, beauty. Thank you for that. And thank you for hanging in there and explaining that.
It's a bit hard, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing. It's not something we think about every day.
Yeah.
Those are the assumptions that are really good to deconstruct. So we've got those insights that you can move forward. Beth, you got anything?
Yeah, for me, it's someone to come in and map the customer journey fully, all those touch points, those crucial things, and design the processes and a schedule for a communication rhythm, and the touch points, what we need to do.
I think I just spelled rhythm wrong. Oh no. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to go back and fill that in. Map the customer journey with key milestones and events to ensure the whole team can contribute to the whole team can deliver a I love this phrase. I use it quite a lot. Overwhelmingly positive experience for our clients. and then create a schedule for communication. Is that communication with clients?
Predominantly, yes, the communication and also the processes for each staff member when they need to be involved in that communication with a customer. So there's consistency, not scripted to the point it's robotic, but there's a guidelines are there.
Yes. And this is to inform the development of systems and processes.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. This is starting to look really good. What sort of approach do you think a COO should take to their own professional development, and what skills, knowledge, attributes do you think the COO should bring, and how should that be maintained?
I think there's a couple of elements come to mind for me. The first one is being able to map out process. The second one is to be able to manage the process. So really putting dashboards together. Because if I'm going to let go of those things, I need to know they're going.
Yes.
And I don't want to watch dashboards myself. I need someone who's actually taking care of it. And so the example I'd use is in your car these days. We used to have I don't have a temperature gauge in my car anymore. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you what temperature is. Not that I care. But what happens is a little red light comes on saying you need service. And so I think it's sort of taken care of by the machine itself, like the technology. And for a business, I want the COO to be looking at all the dials and making the assessments and troubleshooting things. But when there's an ongoing issue, so it goes past yellow flag for me, I want them to be able to come to me and say, we have problems. So I think the skill in creating those workflows, administering them and monitoring them. I suppose another element too is getting the team to be making sure people are doing their jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, daily management, actually.
Yeah.
And it's providing support. I would think training.
Yep.
And I'll tell you something about that in just a second. I'll get this down. Providing support, training, and performance management.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm writing these sorts of things too, I always will say what it is and then why, to ensure, to keep. Problems can be identified and communicated quickly. Like that's the reason that this first part is important. There you go. That's just a very mechanical analysis of how I write and why I think it works. To keep the wheels of the machine turning. Now, I do want to come back to that providing support, training, and performance management initiatives. One of the things that an effective COO is going to do for you is going to make sure that your team are up to speed with managing their own processes. If the COO is tied to writing every flow chart, writing every work instruction, making every instruction video, they will choke. They will not be able to do it. And as your team grows, they will become the bottleneck that potentially you're trying to get out of being. And so really important for the COO to understand that their job certainly is to oversee every single part of those operations, data collection, performance management, but they don't have to do every single part. And that's where that training and ongoing performance management is crucial, so that then the team starts to understand, right, my work involves not only I'm just thinking of a really simple everyday one, not only posting social media every day, but writing what are the steps that I use to follow to post the social media every day. And so that means that person they're a valuable human being, don't get me wrong, but they're replaceable. And it means that the operations manager then can start to see how the pieces of the puzzle are all fitting together, and that performance is going to be consistent without them having to touch every single job. That's where the team leaders we were talking about before, Peter, is really important. I'm going to give you a little clue for one more thing. I'm mindful of the time. One more thing that I think is really important for a operations manager to take on is a result. You will have a dedication to ongoing training and development, maintaining a current knowledge of relevant systems, tools, and technologies valuable to the growth of the business. If your COO isn't sharp and isn't learning new skills and introducing new tools, then you've got a problem, because you're going to get left behind. And your COO is the perfect person to be looking for those new tools. We've got this issue. How can we do it better? What are the tools available? What are the solutions that we can find? So that's a really nice little job description. I'll provide you guys with this one and also the other master one that I've got. And yeah, so you can play around with that. Is there any other last thoughts on that? No, all good?
All good.
I will stop sharing. And now, in my little flurry, I have to find the last part. Here we go. Last part of my session here today. So final wrap. The benefits. When you've got a COO and they take care of all the stuff you don't like doing, you're free to do only the stuff you do love doing. So you're really able to shine in those strengths. When you've got a COO, you've got a partner to let go to, so you can truly let go of all of those daily operations. And then finally, when you've got a really great COO, you can really lead from the front, because you know that there's someone there putting it together in behind you, next to you, behind you. I remember one of my clients, He runs a sales training organization. They do sales and marketing for their clients. And he was introducing me to someone in the business, or like a collaboration partner. And he said, "Oh, this is Kerry." And he said, "I basically go through the forest and cut down all the trees, and Kerry cleans up behind me. That's her role." And I'm like, right, that's actually a really good picture. He gets to lead from the front. I do all the cleanup along the way to make the thing happen. And so that really is the benefit of having a really fabulous partner to bring all of those business visions together. So to make this happen for you, first of all, you do need to commit to a hiring date. Is this a 6-month thing? Is it a 12-month thing? That's fine, wherever it is. And as visionaries, you can do this. You can plot that. Make sure you've got a set thing. If it needs to shift, that's okay. But if you know, what is that saying about shooting for the stars? At least you'll land on the moon. You know, you're better to say something and keep it going. And then have a really clear idea of what we were talking about before. What are the superpowers that you absolutely love doing, you're best at, you don't want to let them go because you know that those things will drive the business forward. Then complementary. What do you need in a partner so that you can trust that you can let go and they'll be picking up all those pieces? I'm going to send you a hiring kit. And it's got so many goodies in it. Like it's got the position description, it's got the job ad, it's got interview questions, it's got an assessment matrix so that when you're interviewing, you can go through and rank the candidates. Can't think of it yet. It's like 7 templates of glory. So I'd love to share that with you, that you can. And then finally, this whole process is wrapped up in you being able to truly let go, which is a little bit fun and a little bit terrifying. But yeah, embrace it with everything you've got.
Awesome.
So there you go. Thank you.
That's a great insight, Kerry. And so, look, I think the message here is clear. It's a later thing for some people. It's a now thing for some people, but it's a thing. Right. And as a business, we can't scale without the right people. And if we don't start thinking about this person who's actually going to take the operational stuff away from us, it becomes a stranglehold on the growth of the business. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I think the tools will be awesome. I'm going to make sure they're attached to the recording in the portal. And so they're going to be available there. I'll also forward them to you guys for being like, just because you're here today. Any questions outside of that? Kerry Ann is a wealth of knowledge on this. She's been doing it for a while. She's a procedural nut freak, I would say. Some of the stuff I've seen looks amazing. But if you need systems in your business, this is the way to do it. It's just it's not about having a beautiful picture. It's about having something useful.
Yes.
And it has to be something someone can actually use on a daily basis. So I'd like to thank Kerry Ann for coming in and sharing this stuff today. Hopefully you got some good insight out of it. And what I'm really hoping is that the COO is definitely in your plans of the future.
Definitely, it is.
All right. Maybe we'll wrap up with takeaways. What's been the most valuable thing out of today for you, Pete?
More valuable thing is to come back to the word "let go."
Okay. Yeah.
Let go. She's the hardest bit, I reckon. So we all have to work to work on it, I reckon. Because everyone thinks they know the best. They are the best at what they are doing. Yeah. But one point in time, we have to let go. Yeah, sure. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. If you want to grow, this is the way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're spot on there. Awesome. Yeah. What about for you, Kath? What's been most useful?
Yeah, the big thing for me was the having the why and that vision, but making sure the how is in there.
Yeah.
And not just the numbers, the purpose as well. So that's been really gold. I'll take that away for sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Sometimes we forget as a visionary, it's not just about having a vision. It's about literally getting people inspired to want to do what you're sort of like to get involved. And, you know, I think my favorite quote on leadership was you can measure a leader by the number of followers they have, not by what they tell you. And it's not about how, you know, charismatic you are. It's literally about, do people want to come on the journey with you? And I think for people who are running a sort of business and they're trying to move forward in a space, it's how many people can you recruit on the journey that are going to help you get there? And getting the operational stuff done and consistent is a real key element to it.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
I agree. Thank you.
Look, thank you. So what we'll do is we'll make sure that those attachments come out to you. If you have any challenge navigating any of those, Kerry Ann is more than happy just to sort of, if you reach out to her and ask.
Okay.
We might sort of wrap it all up there, and yeah, look, enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful
so much.
session.
Okay. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.